Dear all, welcome to the first APSCE webinar series of the year 2022. This webinar series is curated by Special Interest Group on Learning Analytics and Educational Data Mining. We're happy to have the first webinar in this ICC 2022 conference here. And we request you to, if you have any questions during the session, we request you to type them in the chat box. And I would like to mention that this session has been recorded. And if you have any, and if you don't want to be photographed, we request you to send an email, which is shown managing secretary at APSCE group. So it's our honor to welcome Professor Yang for this first webinar series in APSCE for the topic on sustainable learning analytics in the digital age. Professor Yang graduated from University of Illinois, Chicago in 1995 and PhD in computer science. He is a chair professor of computer science and information engineering and also vice president for research at National Central University, Taiwan. He was the first director of Department of Information and Technology Education at Ministry of Education, Taiwan. Professor Yang's research areas include learning analytics, artificial intelligence in education, human-centered AI, and educational big data. He has published more than 100 papers in reputed journals and has a lot of several citations with H index of more than 42 in a Google Scholar. Professor Yang is also one of the world's top 2 scientists selected by Stanford University in 2020. With this, I request Professor Yang to start the session. Professor Yang, we're very happy to have you here, and thanks for accepting our invitation to present the talk today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram. So, should I start my sharing? Okay.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Well, it's an honor and a privilege to present some of my thought before my research on the sustainability research. I'm Stephen Yang, and many of my research was inspired by the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG. Especially for the number 4, it's quality education. So we would like to consider more about humanities and try to make a difference and work toward the sustainable education. In fact, the learning analytics is right now is making differences in educations. According to the graph from Gartner, there are 4 stages of analytics. The first stage is descriptive analytics to let us know what happened. And then is a diagnostic to know what did it happen. And then is a predictive analytics to let us know what will happen. And then is a prescriptive and let us know how can we make it happen, make good things happen. So the learning analytics probably is a very good opportunity to achieving personalized learning. It could be individualized learning, depends on the terms. But I think a personalized learning involves more humanizing. Humanizing is a term to make more suitable for people in terms of learning. So the challenge now is how to accurately establish students' model and data models so teachers can understand students' difference and generate individualization. And here we would like to talk about personalized learning or learning analytics from both technology and humanity. So the research question here is, can we turn learning analytics from one size fits all? Right now, it is indeed a one-size-fits-all approach, and turn it to a one-of-a-kind approach via precision education. Here is the research goal of precision education. Well, we intended to identify at-risk students as early as possible and provide timely intervention through 4 stages. It is a diagnosis, prediction, treatment, and prevention. This idea is very similar, and in fact, our research is inspired from the precision medicine. So the 4 steps include a diagnosis of students' behavior and patterns, prediction of students' learning outcome, and then provide the treatment and the prevention. Many provide some timely intervention and some learning strategies. Here is the snapshot of our current research based on precision education. So the first stage is diagnosis. There are a couple of dashboards for descriptive and diagnostic analysis. So some statistics and some analysis result as shown in dashboard. We also apply a couple of prediction algorithms from traditional machine learning to deep learnings to make a prediction of students' learning performance. Here mainly for the grade, pass or fail. It's for predictive analytics. And we provide the treatment with intervention. So teachers need to interference students' learning strategies for predictive analytics. And this is how we guide students with proper learning strategies in order to make a prevention. So here are more references of the precision education. I delivered a keynote speech in APSCE 2019 in Kending, Taiwan. The topic is precision education, so you can refer to the video here. And also we have a special issue on precision education. I am as the guest editor for the ETNS. So in today's talk, I would like to say less technology and more humanities, especially from Faculty of Computer Science. I would like to involve more humanity. So this is the inspiration, say, when we continue to develop some educational technologies, we also need to do some reflect, especially on the impact of educational and the social change. As I mentioned before, learning analytics can provide teachers a very good interface to measure and understand, and also to identify a difference between students. And it's a main focus on early prediction and the timely intervention. And both of the early prediction and the timely intervention involve lots of data. It's a massive amount of data and complicated algorithm. And as we know, the learning analytics or any kind of technology using data or algorithms, it could be misused because the bias on data and the algorithms. I will mention some of them in my following slide. So it's very important to consider this social impact on our technology, especially the learning analytics, and combining technology and humanity to prevent bias from the very beginning in the design stage. So from the design to the implementation, especially in the design stage, we need to consider in advance the humanity issue. So how to avoid the misuse and bias of such data and algorithms in order to solve the educational, social, and the governance issues will be the focus of sustainable education system. So the challenge ahead, as I mentioned, is educational, social, and governance issues from the very beginning of design. And also we need to educate all stakeholders, including families, schools, the systems, and the government, and some practitioners, and so on, and develop the helpful strategies for them, including the contents, methods, and the tools for training and education. So here is the theme of sustainable learning analytics research trend or research issues. I classify that into 3 categories. It's very similar to the ESG of environment. I changed it to educational because we are in the area of education. So the educational, we need to concern schools, family, government's policy, and the pedagogy, technology, and the practice is important. And for the social issues, there are fairness and equity, very similar to the SDG. And the result and the process must be explainable and trustworthy. This part will from the AI point of view. And also the divergent and the diversity and the inclusion to accommodate all kinds of race, genders, and social issue, parties into the systems. And from the governance, especially for the resilience, we need to care about the robustness and the safety and do some adaptation and accessibility. So here is the learning analytics need to care about the fairness and impartiality. So fairness means simply the result must be fair. And the process, during the process should not have any discrimination or resulting in unfair analysis. As I mentioned, the bias and the misuse are mainly because of nowadays the algorithm is a lot of training data, and the data has come from regular articles over the internet. So it will reproduce the social biases, which is embedded from our language and the cultures. Take an example, the word embedding is a typical example that will accelerate the bias because of our language and the cultural stereotype. And also the job equity, equal job opportunity is also important in workplace. When we say about trust, it must have some criteria such as accuracy, transparency, explainable, and fairness. So the result must be accurate. The process and need to be explained and need to be transparent, and the result must be fair. So the decision-making process needs a complete explanation in order to gain trust and avoid any unnecessary negative consequence. So to meet trustworthy, there are 2 things important: transparency and explainability. It refers to we must provide certain degree of transparency and explanation during the process of decision making, and the need to explain the process of reaching such conclusion, and always adjusting the transparency depends on the difference of stakeholders. Here comes the diversity and the inclusion. This is a very important issues to inspire our students to learn. So inclusion is based on diversity, equity, and the belongings. So we envision an inclusive education should break down systematic barriers into inclusion, foster our students to learn, know, our students know their belongings, and empower them in order to bring their whole self to learning and inspired to learn. Privacy and data governance is just, we need to sign a letter of consent. So during the data collection, and also need to take care of the data security in order to protect personal privacy. This is a very fundamental issue when we do data analytics. We need the norms and rules and define clearly about data ownership and control, and also the data anonymity, and also do a good job on data management. Resilience is the things we are facing when we face a sudden and a dramatic change in our living and educational environments. Resilience reflects how soon and how well we can recover from such disasters. For example, COVID-19. So everything turns to be online, fully online or blended, how we adjust ourselves to the traditional good old days. So the new days is a new normal. So due to the COVID-19, so our resilient education must include the technical robustness and the safety of our network and the devices, hardware. And also, we also need to do some adaptation in order to increase the accessibility of teachers, content, tools, and the platform. For learning analytics, particularly, it's measuring something. So we truly treasure what we measure. But what's measurable doesn't always count. That's true. So here comes what counts can't always be measured. So this is kind of thought we should conceive in order when we develop new technologies. That is, what counts can always be measured. So I quote this sentence from Buckingham Simon, and the heart of educational data infrastructure is conscious humanity and the scientific responsibility, not infinite data and the limited experiment. So here come to the second part of my talk. We say something about the human-centered AI and sustainable AI. I will say AI give a little bit a sense of AI can do. Here is the briefly classification. It's not exactly 100% true, but from my point of view, I will divide AI into 3 stages. It's rule-based. So the very beginning of AI is logic-based. And then it's more statistic or mathematics-based AI. We call it a machine learning AI. And then deep learning is also part of machine learning, but in order to distinguish it from machine learning, so I still classify it into a deep learning based. It's mainly based on the perception. It's a neural net perception. So perception is very special for human. Only human can have perception. Machine don't have. But right now, AI is approaching and use the deep learning for machine perception. So convention, in general, we humans are doing good in image recognition. We know sound, we can understand text, and time series is mainly for medical information. But right now, the deep learning is approaching with very advanced algorithms, such as you heard about the CNN is mainly for image and sound, and RNN is for text understanding and time series analysis. And nowadays, the natural language processing has become to a new stage. They have developed the pre-trained and the fine-tuned deep learning model, such as the BERT and the GPT-3. So in our research, we already changed from logic or rule-based to deep learning based. So we utilize the BERT and the PyBERT. I will explain that later. The BERT, maybe you already know, I just restate it. BERT is a bidirectional encoder representation from transformers. It's amazing is it is a pre-trained for language understanding. It's a pre-trained corpus size is 16 gigabytes using books corpus. This corpus contains over 7,000 unpublished fiction books, 800 million words, and the entire English Wikipedia is contains 2,500 million words. And PyBERT is a fine-tuned training based on BERT we used. We do fine-tune training with some educational data, such as cargo is a Python question from Stack Over. So the pre-training is for language. Pre-training is for general human language understanding, such as English or Chinese or French or Germany. And fine-tune training is for domain knowledge learning, such as education, physics, math, things like that, the domain knowledge. So this distinguishes the pre-train and the fine-tune. Pre-train will save us lots of effort. We just focus on fine-tune. At the same time, bird already there's a lot of improved. There are some heavyweight bird called a robert, and some distill bird called a distill bird. The difference of them are the training time. So heavyweight will take more training time with a larger data set. So as you know, the GPT-3, the strength of this is generative. So it can generate something. So it's pretty amazing when we can generate. So it is trained over 570 gigabytes of text. It's almost learned from the entire internet versus BERT only 16 gigabytes. So the GPT-3 learn everything from the internet. And the things it trained lots of data sets only for one thing, is to predict the next word. As long you given us some sequence of preceding words. For example, if my preceding words is, I would like to talk about learning analytics, then GPT-3 will predict next word, and then the word after next word, and next. And finally, GPT-3 can generate entire believable stories. So if the research continues, then my next talk could be automated, generated by such mechanism. But it's not that day yet. Okay. And well, that's a good thing of GPT-3, but it also will result in some misinformation, which means that the information, you cannot tell it from truth or false. So we should reimagine what natural language processing can do. I know most of the things already been done by previous technology, but right now with GPT-3, especially GPT-3, what they can do, okay, such as a question answering and a question generation. So they can answer questions about the factual knowledge and common sense reasoning. So the natural language can understand physical and scientific reasoning. And here is a reading comprehension. So after the input of a paragraph, the NLP can automatically answer a question about its reading and do some simple arithmetic. And this translation already been very mature, such as Google's translation can provide very, very close to professional translation. And they can do word scrambling, okay, things like this, and learning how to use novel words. This one is interesting because as an engineer or scientist, our vocabulary are very limited. So the NLP can automatically choose or replace some novel words for us. That's good things. And this is the news slide. So this is how my lab implement with NLP in assessment and evaluation. We'll simply use BERT and the GPT-3 to automatically generate and grade students' the examination and assessment. So that will save me a lot of job in order to take care of students' homework, assignment, and do the automated assessment. We developed it's a Python bird, as I addressed before. This bird is for Python programming, grading, the coding evaluation. And we also have some automatic question generation and scoring mechanism to generate a close and short answer questions. That's mainly for factual knowledge. And we also do some automatic essay grading for critical thinking evaluation. This is the flow of our question generation. So teachers just provide is teaching material such as a book or article or PowerPoint. And our system will take it, and then with our fine-tuned training, the knowledge, domain knowledge of Python programming, and then we use GPT-3 to generate close and short answer questions. So, well, this too complicated. I just briefly use text. So we use a PyBird as our encoder. So we need to encode your text and then understand through BERT and GPT-3, and use GPT-3 as a decoder to generate a question. So the format of a question are close and short answer questions. So close, as you know, is just to measure how good students know the key phrase. And short answer question is very just a sentence. So major students, do they understand facts and the key sentence? Well, essay grading is more difficult. So we implement from a paper, and we have an essay neural net, because it's combined two neural net, RNN and the CNN. And CNN is more suitable for grading sentence structures. It's more focused, mainly from its attention model. And RNN is suitable for grading document level. And this is how the structure. And this is the training data set we use from this paper. And that's interesting. This corpus includes 900 research articles from 30 different academic disciplines. So this is the corpus of academic research paper, the organization of things like that. So here I would like to make a reflection of what so-called a fair assessment. Okay, since we are doing assessment. Well, in Taiwan, we also face we have some social and racial and gender, well, that's inherited from our society, the bias. So assessment, sometimes you will face this problem. And also fair assessment needs aligned rubrics. So it's not just one rubrics. You need some diversified training and the rubrics, and need to develop explainable algorithms. Sometimes we just call it XAI for the transparency and the explainability. But right now, deep learning algorithms, especially neural net, is not good for explanation. So we will still use the traditional machine learning algorithms such as random forest. In fact, it's a good performance. So we use the random forest to enrich our explainability. And as I addressed before, since right now the question
So, dear participants, it seems Professor Yang's connection has been lost. We are waiting for him to rejoin again. So please give us a couple of minutes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us and waiting. We are trying to reach Professor Yang via mobile phone. We are not able to reach him, and we will wait for a couple of more minutes. If he is not able to join, we will announce the next steps. Please be with us for another couple of more minutes. Professor Yang?
Sorry, I cannot start my video, but I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks, Professor Yang. We will.
I just encountered some technical problems, so I log out and re-log in too.
Yeah, we understand, Professor Yang. Thanks.
Tell me about that.
We can continue that. Thanks, everyone, for waiting. We will continue the talk from where we left.
Okay. Sorry, I still cannot open my video, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. Then
I think you can try now. You can try now. We made a co-host. You can try sharing the windows now.
Yeah, can you try to share your screen? I made you co-host.
Oh, okay. Share my screen. Oh. Well, it's sorry. Yes.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So what's next? Are we going to discuss something?
Professor Yang, you can quickly wrap up. You are at the BERT encode. You can quickly wrap up. Then maybe summarize it. Then we can start the Q&A session. Is that fine?
Okay, sure. So do you hear my presentation?
Yes, I can see your
presentation. Okay. Sorry about that. I thought I need to restart my presentation. Okay, so did you read my final slide here?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my conclusion. Yeah. So shall we start the QA?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Professor Yang. So, dear participants, if you have any question and answer, you can post it in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask. We got one question from the participants.
Yes.
The question is your language model is also targeted to any local language? Is the question.
No, just for English.
Okay. So another question from audience. We were at the reflection of fair assessment. Okay, so.
Oh, there is a question, a comment say, just at reflection of fair assessment.
Yeah, so
we stop from there.
Yeah, stop down there, yeah.
You miss the rest of my presentation.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So you don't read this. I mean, I'm sharing my screen, so you miss all of the screen.
Yeah, we missed almost everything after the fair assessment, actually.
Here?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, this?
Yeah, yes, from here.
Oh, that's so sad. So you want me to continue from here?
Yeah. Yes, if possible.
Fine?
Yeah.
Is that fine with you? So yes. I can continue from here. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. The problem.
Yes,
so right now you can see and hear me, right?
Yes.
On this slide. Okay, so I continue from this one.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. I apologize. So, okay, this one is a reflection. So we need to care our assessment is fair. So we need to align the rubrics and follow diversified training set in order to have the transparency and the explainability. So here is the most of the part you missed. I would like to address the human-centered AI. There are three kinds of interpretation. The first one is based on human-computer interaction. It's more on the user interface. So you need to consider a human's interface. And the second part is for control. So it's 100% human control or 100% AI autonomous, things like the autopilots or auto driving. And my research and my concern is more on from the humanity and the human condition. And as I addressed before the break, the deep learning inherited lots of bias from natural language or our cultures, especially in the gender, race, and the religion. And this is based on the Brown's papers regarding the language model. They have some statistics that the most biased gender descriptive, here is for male, here is for female. Some of them are not so good. So it's a kind of stereotype. And this is for the racial sentiment. The higher, the better, the lower, the worse. As we can see, stereotype, the brown, the yellow one is Black, and the red one is Latino, and Asia is a stereotype is good, just like the Indian. I mean, from the social stereotype. And also, we found that the Brown, they found that the most co-occurrence word with religion, like atheism is cool, Buddhism is vegetarian, things like that. So from our vision of AI, we need to consider humanity as the primary consideration. So we are doing research on the sustainable AI, explainable AI, trustworthy AI, and the responsible AI. And not just considering humanity, but also the technology is right on the cycle. This is the Gartner hype cycles. So transformer is almost on the top. And then is the human-centered AI, generative, and the responsible AI. This is what we are doing in Taiwan. We are under Academia Sinica, the highest academic institution in Taiwan. There is a NGO, Future Earth Taipei. Under that, we have a working group, sustainability in the digital age. This is what we have been doing for the past year and this year's. We conduct a special issue for the ETNS. We organize a conference, LUC, and have a partnership between Taiwan and Japan, and also do some analytics, ESG analytics. This special issue is for ETNS, right on the human-centered AI in education. I co-guest editor with Hiroaki and Tasanori from Kyoto and Waseda University. And this is the LUC conference, Learning Analytics and Knowledge Conference. Hopefully, we hope it can be held face-to-face. The schedule is in Kyoto, March 6 to 10. And the theme is toward trustworthy learning analytics. And this one is pretty interesting, just for your reference. This is from Google Scholar citation, the top 20 publication of our educational technology. And computer science education is the first, then it's BJET and Internet Higher Education, and ETS is rank 4. And LUC is the only conference ranked 12 in the top 20. And this is the ESG analytics. We do the analytics and the rating prediction for applied materials. And this is the partnership between Taiwan and Japan. We use the book roll system, and there are more than 32 universities, 84 teachers, and over 22,000 students participate in this partnership. And this is the final reflection of learning. I, well, I like this pretty much, but due to the time limitation, I just make it brief. So how to make us from the fear zone? If you have the symptom like lack of self-confidence, you'll find an excuse or you will be affected by others, then you are in the fear zone. You should work hard to extend this to next stage, to learning zone. So if you have things like you can deal with challenges and the problems, you like to acquire new skills and you would like to extend your comfort zones, then you are going to in the growth zone. Okay. And this is the posters I saw in a couple of years in senior universities. It says we, as a teachers, we need to reimagine the way we teach so our students can reimagine the world. So encourage us to unlearn. So this is the final slide. I conclude my talk is learning is a process of unlearn. So we need to forget what we have learned and try to relearn something new in order to make us to keep in progress and keep growing. So we can see in the invisible through the visible. So thank you very much. And once again, I apologize for the technical issue. I have no idea. I've been lost almost 1/3 of my talk. Sorry, I still cannot open my video.
I think that is fine, Professor Yang, and thanks for completing the talk even with the technical glitch. This is a very interesting talk, and it covered the breadth of LA field, not just LA. We talked about data privacy, NLP, and also the work. And I will open the floor for the question and answers. And we have received already a couple of questions in the chat. Can you read the chat, or should I read the questions to you?
Yes, I read one.
So the first,
okay.
So the question is, may I know what features are used for the student?
Receive the slide, no problem. Yeah, I can send you my slide after my talk. And then is the, let me see. What kind of features to make the prediction? Okay, those features is based on students' log of using book roll, such as the time of open a book, how long it read the book, how many markers, how many memos, things like that, qualitative the features. And in addition to that, we also have some quality features, such as how good the marker is and how good the memo is. So we will do auto grading to measure the quality and give some scores. So those scores will be a part of the features. And also some test score will be the features too. Yeah, so for those features, as our the features for prediction algorithm. The second one is some treatment. Okay, treatment is treatment is an intervention. We do that for personal recommendations. So we will identify what the shortage of these students is from the prediction. So if students fail for something, then we can identify some critical factors. And based on those factors, we can comply intervention recommendation, such as recommend to read a part of the book or to read some of the slide or to do some action. For example, to make more marking, take notes, things like that. Okay. Some of the response from my students, well, that depends on the reflection. Students were concerned, is it fair assessment, especially done by machine. So when it comes to automatic grading, students will have the concern. So we still need to do some manual grading by our TA. But that part is for, well, for experiments and for the in practice purpose. Okay, so, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Professor, for answering all questions. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for delivering the lecture with even with the technical glitch.
Okay.
Thank you. Professor Wong, can we go to the final slides? Yeah. So, dear all, I think the next APSCE webinar will be from the special interest group on educational gamification and game-based learning. The speaker is Dr. Mona Enden from University of Polytechnic in France. And the details, the date and the details will be shared again in the email. Thanks everyone for joining us. Before we go, we have a small request. Can you move on to the next slide? Yeah, so before we go, we would like to get your feedback about the session. Please scan this QR code. It will take hardly 10 minutes. There are 9 questions per personal information. Please fill this. This will help us to form a special interest group in learning analytics. If you're interested to be part of the SIG in learning analytics and EDM at the APSCE, please let us know. I hope everyone actually started giving the feedback. Once again, thanks for joining our first webinar in APSCE webinar series. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you.